know who out there has heard of the term open data, but really kind of what it means at its core. So typically nowadays, when we're accessing information online, it can mean looking at a PDF report, like the Dublin Economic Monitor, that all the information is there, some infographics to visualize information and make it easy to understand, which are great. So here's an example from the CSO. There could be a map or an interactive map that you can explore, or maybe dashboards that maybe you're used to seeing internally as well. And all of these are great ways of communicating information to the reader, to the user. But what if we want to do a little bit more with that information? Not just take it in, but also to carry out our own analysis, our own visualizations, or to integrate information from different sources, because that's really where the most power is. It's not just looking at one data source and understanding what that is, saying, well, if I combine this and this and this, can I see patterns or trends or correlations? And in order to be able to do that, we need access to the raw data, the underlying data. So at its core, open data is data that can be freely used, reused, and redistributed by anyone. And even more so than that, so that I guess was the original definition of open data, which still is absolutely valid and true. But now, as Heather said, I mean, the world is advancing, right? We've got now advanced machine learning, AI, Internet of Things. So we don't just need any kind of data. We need high quality, interoperable data so that we can really use this data for tangible outcomes to drive evidence-based decision-making, rich business intelligence, and advanced innovation. So we're looking at not only raw data, but high quality raw data that is easy to reuse. And I'll talk about what that actually means. Just to go back to another example of kind of where this was like seen in force or really evident, of course, with the whole pandemic, we wanted information about what was happening in easy to understand, very quickly, real time. And so the government developed the COVID-19 Data Hub, I think together with the team in Maynooth. And there you could see straight away numbers of hospitalizations, of cases, of deaths, of vaccinations, of so on. So it was a really easy way for the general public to access the information. And as well as that, they provided some trend information and some geographic maps and so that you can interact with. Brilliant, great for getting the information out there. But of course, there was a lot of work then that wanted to be done as well around, well, I want to dig into this data deeper. I want to carry out research on it. I want to maybe some data journalism. So it was very important that the information is available as raw data, and that from very early on in the pandemic, the COVID figures were also made available as raw data so that this could happen, so that a lot of the information was made open as open data, and also they were kind of sharing data for particular groups for research purposes as well. And from that, then we can see this massive use of the data. So great, users could go to the official site, but then they could get information from lots of other places as well and learn and build upon that from their own expertise and own experience, be it via data journalism, via research papers, scientific elements, and also even just from the general public wanting to dig down a little bit more. So a great case of that is at the top here in the middle is a Twitter feed. And this literally just takes the numbers from the Open API and publishes it as a daily tweet. So here's your daily tweet numbers. And as you can see at this stage, there was over 50,000 followers of it. So for many people, it was easier to read this tweet than just to get it from the site, but it was the exact same number, so it didn't matter. It was just a different way to outreach and getting the information out there. So what's really important to say at this stage, and it's a question that we often get, is, well, how about data protection of personal data? All of this about putting information out there and sharing data, and does that not contradict GDPR? And the answer is absolutely not. So open data does not infringe on privacy rights of individuals under data protection legislation. And that's because open data usually doesn't contain any personal information. We're talking more about statistical information or service information. So information that, if you look at, so we work a lot with the government sector so that they would have that they generate as part of their day-to-day business. And as you can see from the examples that I'm given, from the transport sector, the financial sector, even from the health sector or other sectors, there's still a lot of high-level statistical information that's detailed enough to be useful and to reuse, but is not down at the individual level. And just to kind of get a visualization of that, so this is a diagram from the Open Data Institute in the UK, the data spectrum. So on the right, we have open data. So that's anyone can use it for any purpose. So that's even commercial purposes. So if that information, if somebody wanted to take any information, open data, and build an application and charge people for it, that's absolutely fine. And actually, that's what is one of the purposes of the benefits of open data, is to promote the economic and commercial use of it. But then you also have shared information. So shared information is data that you share with particular groups or individuals with consent and with pre-agreed with agreements. And then on the closed side, you have information that is internal and will never be shared. So that's where open data is very much over on that side of the data spectrum. Does that make sense?